Because it's easy to say, if people are more vulnerable, but what does that actually mean? But other ones are kind of like feeling like you don't have enough autonomy in your relationship, but not actually being able to say it. So what you do is you become a bit passive aggressive around it, or you feel like you're a bit abandoned in the relationship or neglected in the relationship.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the elders both past and present. My name's Ali Daddo.
I'm Cam Daddo, and you know that we are advocates. Well, long-time listeners will know that we are advocates of therapy, both individual and couples.
Yep.
We've benefited from that one-on-one time, that dedicated time to where there's someone in front of you with no emotional connection to you other than just to assist you to get to the heart of what you're wanting to heal. Really.
Yeah, we do love our we do love our therapists, the ones that have come in and that we've spoken to, as well as the ones that we've actually gone and helped us with it as well. So we have a couple, a married couple, who are doing something very new and innovative around therapy and psychology.
Shahn Sorekli and Helen Robertson are experienced clinical psychologists and couples therapists with over 34 years of combined experience in the public mental health sector and private practice. They are married and together founders of Drummoyne Psychology, a successful private psychology practice in Sydney, where they've helped hundreds of couples to improve their relationship.
And here's where it gets a little different. They're also the creators of Australia's first fully synchronised couples coaching app. It's called My Love, Your Love. They also have a book, which we're going to be chatting about as well, and that's called The 8 Love Links. Are you a little bit curious? Well, so are we. So let's welcome to the bathroom Helen and Shahn.
How are you guys?
Great. We're very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to be in the bathroom with you.
Do you do podcasts?
Ourselves?
Yeah. You've been guests on podcasts. Do you have your own podcast?
We don't have our own podcast. We have
surprising.
toyed with the idea.
Yeah.
But we love going on other people's podcasts.
Excellent. Have you had one in a toilet before?
Not in a toilet.
A toilet.
No. I do like the idea of separate toilets, though. That would be good.
Yeah.
Separate
Even your own
toilets.
toilet, if they're not separated, that'd be fun. You know,
We
you can have
just moved.
conversations.
We've moved into a new home recently, and our bathroom off the master bedroom is like a cupboard. There's no windows. There's no ventilation in there. And we've come from a house that had 3 bathrooms. One of them was an outhouse.
Wow.
So that was
Cam's bathroom.
That's
was
private.
There's
That's
advantages
private.
love
to
that.
that.
Yeah, that was great. And now we've got the 2 heads inside the house. One of them's in a little cupboard in the bedroom. So I'm kind of deciding, I think you can have that one, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And I'll find somewhere
There you
else.
go,
And
separate toilets.
Yes.
Is there room to build an outhouse?
Well,
Bring them back in fashion?
It's a rental.
It's a rental. It's not our house. But I've decided if I get up early enough, I can go down to the surf beach and have a swim and then use the sheds down there. And
Okay.
There is something about an outhouse, isn't there, that just makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
what is that, honey? What sense?
The sense of like you could have an outhouse all to yourself if we had one.
Well, I kind of did in the other place.
And don't you think, like in the old days, in the old builds, the toilet was separate, it had its own
Yes.
room? And there's a lot of
Yes.
sense in that too,
There
right? Like you
is.
don't want the stuff that goes down the toilet mixing with the toothbrush and all that sort of
And the
stuff.
bath, like having a nice relaxing bath without a toilet.
Without a
present.
toilet in there, people running in going, can I get into that? I just
Yeah.
need to use them.
I blame Hollywood. because it's that the illusion of intimacy. Yes, we bathe and crap and
Oh,
brush
really?
our
Yeah.
teeth. It's all together, aren't we? Aren't we great?
There's also
Look how
something
close we
about
are.
like pouring with rain and you've got to go to the outhouse,
Well,
which
Yeah,
is
there's
not.
some
That's
downsides.
not good.
Yeah.
And the red back on the
and
toilet
the red
seat.
back.
That-
When I first moved to Sydney, from Melbourne. I was 18, 19, but my first home that I rented was at Whale Beach in Sydney. And it was the old Tracks Publishing House. And it was right on Whale Beach, and it was this gorgeous old bungalow sort of thing. And out the back of it had an outhouse. So you actually had to walk out and into like rainforest to get to this little dunny that was sitting out there.
That was the only toilet.
That was the only toilet in the house.
Wow.
Right? So you'd sit out there and it'd be raining as it tended to do up on the northern beaches around them, but you're in a rainforest, and it literally was, sweetheart. There were slugs and spiders in there, but you'd leave the door open, and it'd be all these wonderful palms and
nature's
rain
cool,
and-
right? Like
Yeah, it
you're
was
getting
great.
back to the elements.
I don't know how it would be at 3 a.m. in the morning when dusting.
Well, see, that's when one of my brothers stayed, and I said, where did you go to the toilet last night? Because it was raining, and he goes, I just opened the front window and peed out the front window.
Wow.
It was great because the moon was on the water and I was watching the surf, but all the roses underneath got killed. So,
Boys can do that a little bit easier than
hey, welcome to the bathroom.
Thank you. It's
Welcome
so
to
great
the
be
podcast.
here.
full bathroom chat.
We begin usually by asking people how they met, and you two, given what you do, you're psychologists, therapists. How did you meet? How did that come about?
Well, we actually met at work. So we were both working at Bankstown Community Mental Health Service. And we'd seen each other around, I think, but within about 2-3 weeks of me being there, unfortunately, a new client of mine passed away, which is hard enough to kind of process as it is. And then I was just at my desk, and this tall, handsome man kind of comes up and kind of crouches.
Isn't he?
He is, yeah. He kind of crouches down next to my desk, looks me in the eye, and just, I can't really remember what he said, but he was just being super kind and validating around, having lost a client. And it was just really heartfelt. And I was like, it was really nice. But I was like, who is this guy? He's gorgeous and he's got this
kind.
beautiful heart. But that's how we met. That wasn't the beginning of our relationship. at that
I was
point.
single at the time, but Helen wasn't. And then she was single.
Yeah.
And I was
Later.
dating somebody. And then she was like, oh, by the way, I'm single now, just dropping it in. I'm like, I'm not.
it.
And then the time came and the stars aligned and we're both single. And we're like, let's just hang out a little bit together and take it nice and slow and casual.
Were you still working at the same facility together at that point?
We
when you
were, yes.
properly dating. Is that allowed to?
Well, we were on separate teams and we weren't, no one was each other's bosses or anything.
Gotcha.
So, power imbalances were
Yeah.
okay, I think.
There's a sign
This
of
was a
things to
while
come,
ago.
though, because we work in every aspect together now still.
Right.
Well, I know that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
were you dating and then dating, married, then opened your own business, or how did that all come about? Because you've got your own.
And how long ago was this that
Yeah,
you got
so-
together?
So in 2017, we've been together for 11 years and we got married in 2017.
Yeah. Good
And I
memory.
think we opened our private practice in 2017 also.
Okay,
So we
gotcha.
were working privately in other practices, in other psychology clinics.
Yeah.
And we just said, okay, I think it's time to do our own thing. And we actually started just the two of us.
Yep.
And we joke about it now because we did everything. We did the admin, we were the psychologists,
Yeah.
every aspect. And today we've got a team of 14, 15 people.
Yeah.
So it's grown pretty quickly since then.
Yeah.
When you argue, who does the therapy?
Oh, we both do, I think.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you ever say to each other, stop therapizing me?
I think,
You know the tricks, right?
yeah. I think what we know, that the thing is we know the tricks. So what we're good at is coming back and repairing.
Sure.
But we can argue just as much as any other couple. But
Yeah.
when you're walking around, you're walking away, you're kind of like, I don't want to talk to them. The little voice in your head's going, that's not going to be helpful. And this isn't about the angry sort of comments that just went back and forward. There's something vulnerable going on underneath. We need to go back and reconnect and work it out. And we come together pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And it's always the idea that the relationship's bigger than this little argument. So we need to come back together, work out what just happened,
Yeah.
validate each other, and then we can go back to being friends again, which is way nicer.
Validate. Validate each other. Mm-hmm. That's important.
Yeah.
It's the
You said that like a question.
I did.
You know,
I did, to validate each other.
Let's
'cause
ask
I
Ali.
don't know,
Let's ask
validate.
Ali. How validated by Cam do you feel?
Actually, very.
Yay.
there you
very
go.
much.
You're doing it.
Yeah. You do. You do that a lot, I find.
Yeah.
He looks very
Just take it.
surprised.
I'm in a
Cameron.
bit of a session now, but I'm not.
Do you feel like I validate you?
Yeah.
Doing the voice.
Yeah,
went
the
up.
voice went up. Shoulders have gone up. They're
I
not
think that there's-
earrings. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a thing around validation that's tricky.
Well, there is.
Yeah.
There is. Validation for me is a word that is a hot button for
Yeah,
me.
it's loaded.
It is a loaded one.
Why so?
Oh, because I needed a lot of it
Right.
early on.
Yeah.
And I still, so I dealt with that. I'm flushing. I can feel it. My body temperature's going up. I can feel that. So I got through the big bits. You know, the big chunks of what is the validation that I keep seeking. And then it has become more nuanced now.
Yeah.
So I've got to pay attention to the little bits.
Yeah.
Because they can grow and make a big bit again. And that's not okay.
That's so insightful, though. Like, I think, and it is like there's big things that need validation, like our existence and who we are. But then there's little nuances, like you say, that are particular to each of us. So, you know, we all have our own little vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to distinguish as well, sometimes we feel like we need approval to be worthy, which is different to like validating each other's emotions and experiences.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
That's good.
Yeah. So
that's-
I know Cameron because I'm reading your book at the moment, which I'm loving.
My book?
Yeah, Keep It Smooth.
That's so great.
Wow.
Yeah, I picked it up just a few days ago from Dymocks in Sydney, and I'm always already 100 pages into it, really enjoying it. But I just was really kind of like touched by how much vulnerability and the anxiety that you went through, you know, with the stutter and stuff
Yeah,
like that, and
yeah.
having to face that time and time again.
Yeah.
So like I can connect with what you're saying there, I think,
Yeah,
regarding
yeah,
like,
absolutely. Well, you
that
know, it's in the
approval
book.
and validation.
it's
no
all.
hiding
It's
from it.
actually the big chunks are in the book, and the little chunks are in the book. The little
Available
bits.
at all good bookstores. $34.99.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Keeping it smooth.
Is there a way of cutting through that language so that you know it's really heartfelt? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I think we've created a language. Like, so we created our own kind of couples therapy program, if you will, for our clients, and we do it ourselves. So we created a language inside that program, and we do try and use that language. So it can, when you start, it can feel a bit contrived or forced, but with practice and like a big chunk of the work around validating and listening to each other and taking care of each other is in the body language, is in the tone, is in the presence. So the language is important, but there's a lot more to that as well.
Yeah, to introduce you to some of the language, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and this is like just something little, but it's something big at the same time. So we talk about what we call secondary conflict emotions. So anything from like the spectrum of frustration to rage, but also like disconnected kind of states where you've got a wall up and stuff like that.
And
We say-
submission.
and submission. So we say there's secondary conflict emotions, but underneath that, for those to exist, there has to be an inner vulnerable feeling. So if you've got anger, for example,
Yeah.
inside that anger is a vulnerability, and the anger's not going to be there without the vulnerability. So if we have an argument and that's, you know, gets a bit feisty, we need to go back and say to ourselves, okay, I'm revved up now, or my wall's up, or I'm being defensive, or whatever it might be. What's going on for me inside? What's the vulnerability that's been activated? And then I need to try and think about Helen and say, what do I think is going on for her? Because she's having a different story. We're two different people.
Yeah.
And often we're fighting over surface stuff. And, you know, then when those secondary conflict emotions get in, one's being defensive, one's trying to point score, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We're actually missing the core of what's going on underneath. So just even having that concept in mind, we need to come back and say what's going on. And our repair is amazing. When we first got together, we were not perfect.
Oh, gosh, no.
We used to have big fights, but now it's great. Like and that's what you want to do. You want to limit the amount of time the conflict's been going.
Right.
Do you feel like there is just one main theme that couples really fight about? Is it just that we're that two people are just terrified of being vulnerable? Or is that or is it two people are not seeing each other's perspective? Like, is there an ongoing theme that seems to be at the very root base of all arguments?
I think it's very much like there is an avoidance of the inner vulnerable feelings. So like you say, it is like a fear of being vulnerable. I think there's also maybe we're not very good at finding our vulnerability as well. And I think, Cam, this kind of, you've worked hard to work out what your particular vulnerabilities are and then we know how to take care of them. So I think everyone's vulnerabilities might be a little bit different. And it's scary to go there. So there's a lot of secondary stuff that gets in the way and creates further tension and conflict. So, like, you know, for someone, like for me, it's like a sense of feeling not important or not included or something like that. So that might be one of my particular vulnerabilities, but it will come out in a completely unrelated way.
Yeah.
So it's really about knowing what these are so that we can take care of them individually, like for ourselves, but also so our partner can learn how to make sure that they're taking care of our particular vulnerabilities.
Yeah, I think the vulnerabilities, as Helen's kind of really alluding to there, they are very different for different people, because it's easy to say, oh, if people are more vulnerable, but what does that actually mean? You know, with the Helen just used an example about herself, but other ones are kind of like feeling like you don't have enough autonomy in your relationship, but not actually being able to say it. You know, so what you do is you become a bit passive aggressive around it, or you feel like you're a bit abandoned in the relationship or neglected in the relationship, you know, or you feel like you don't have enough power in the relationship, or you feel like you have too much power in the relationship and the other person isn't doing anything. So there's so many things. We kind of say avoidance is the silent relationship killer.
Yeah.
Like, you can put it down to big life events, but they're often the things that push the relationship over the edge, but we avoid talking about the vulnerabilities.
In the book, do you speak or give examples? It often helps me through my journey with therapy I'd say to the therapist, I don't know how to articulate this. I don't know what words to use. I need help. I need a script. And then once I had got the script, I was like, oh, okay, now I can evolve that script and turn that into my own words. Are you doing that to giving help to people to give them words and make them their own?
Absolutely. And I think that's really important because we're trained in so many things as children and adolescents and adults, but we're not trained in emotional awareness and expression. And so even emotion words, like how are you feeling right now? A lot of people sit there and go, I don't know. Yeah. And so throughout the book, throughout each of the kind of links that we talk about, there's 8, each one will have different kind of step-by-step guides of how do we do this. So for instance, there's big emotion lists to use. So when we're kind of feeling each other's story and feeding back the validation piece of I'm hearing this and you're feeling this. And so we provide those kind of step-by-step guides and the lists. And we also provide a list of those vulnerabilities that we've been talking about. So that you can be like, oh, that sounds like me. So it's already kind of the hard work's done. You can just pick which of those vulnerabilities might be.
Yeah, I think when we created the 8 love links, a point of difference we wanted to make, I think when it comes to sort of relationship books, you get some that are like, you know, they can be really practical but quite dry.
Yep.
And you get some that are really kind of like insightful, but they're not practical in application at all. You know, we're talking about vulnerabilities and conflict emotions now, but that really only covers probably a couple of the links. So in each of the 8 love links, there's a practical guide and like self-insight exercises that you do throughout it. You can totally read it yourself. It's for anybody in a relationship, but we kind of say in the beginning, if your partner's into it, definitely like read a chapter each, come back and ask each other the specific questions.
Great.
Because even like things like quality time, people, you've got to spend quality time together. But like, how do you do it?
What is it?
That's what I'm going to say. What is the definition of quality time? Because you get a lot of people going, we need to spend some quality time, put it in the
Absolutely.
and it becomes this whole frou-frou thing.
And you stare at each other going...
And you're going, okay. So what is quality time to you guys? Because I know the definition changes between people.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of different elements to quality time. So we kind of like, if I was to break it up, one is about knowing the inner world of your partner and checking in on the inner world of your partner. We do this in a really practical way, in the sense where we have a big list of questions that you can ask about your partner's past, about their present, about their future, about their childhood impacts, about their hopes, their dreams and desires. So it's developing a habit of checking in on your partner's inner world. But as I said, we give the questions to make it easier.
Great.
The other part is very much related to continuing to grow as an individual within the couple. Okay, so we as a couple learn and grow as individuals, and there's a term called self-expansion. So like, for example, when you first meet your partner, you grow because they're different to you. They have a different kind of like family culture, they might have a different education or upbringing. You continue to expand through knowing them. But then that runs dry. So part of the quality time is working out what do you have in terms of your joint values and what can we do in these spheres together to continue to grow and have adventure.
I love that. What are you thinking?
Oh, no, I think that's awesome. I was thinking, I know we've talked a lot about the Gottman Institute and, they talk about, doing the weekly check-in, which is very much what you're talking about, sitting down on a Sunday or whatever and just creating time to go, how's your week? What is there more needs that you have? How are you feeling about this? And I mean, it's that feeling of that your partner just cares about your inner world. Really, that's really what you're talking about, isn't it? That it's like it's not about like there's the external things of like I put gas in your car or fuel in your car for you. Little things that are lovely.
They make a difference.
But yeah, for me, it's always been that how are you feeling about this now? What's changed for you? All of those things are just that they're the links for me that are always make the biggest difference.
Yeah. So our third love link is called Magic Moments. And like the good thing about the 8 love links too is we've distilled all the research. So we reference the Gottmans in there.
Yeah.
And the Gottmans talk about the couples who are successful constantly turn towards each other for bits of connection. So we break that down a bit and say, well, how come they do it? Yeah. Okay. And the reason they do it is because they're in a habit of doing it. And so one of our love links is called Magic Moments. And it's essentially how the small moments matter the most in your relationship. And it could just be like a kiss goodbye, but it's heartfelt. Or it could be like, let me make you a cup of tea, but it's heartfelt. It's this constant looking to connect each day.
What do you guys do for each other? What kind of little magic moments?
One thing I didn't do yesterday so Al's car is one of the things that I do like to take care of. It also drives me nuts because she'll leave papers and stuff in there.
I can relate to that.
And that's okay. It's a bit of a mess.
I just needed to take me from here to there.
It's just okay.
That's all I need.
However, we've got a problem with the inflation of the tyres at the moment. I did pump your tyres up the other day.
Did you?
I just didn't press the button to reconnect it, but they are pumped up.
Got it.
It's the back right one that's the problem. Anyway,
there you go.
It's those little things.
Right.
It's cups of tea.
Absolutely.
It's again, and it's just I don't know. It's just checking in. We've before we started recording, we've just moved to a new house. So it's for me, it's about making sure that the nest is feathered and getting those little things done. So like yesterday was a day of minutiae, like making sure that the shelves were made in her office so she could put all her stuff away.
Absolutely.
And it's
making her life easier.
But it's those little
absolutely.
things, So also make sure that the fence is fixed so the dog doesn't escape, so that when I go play golf and Al wants to go for a walk, she's not going to be worried about the dog.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
But I mean that's how I do it. I just kind of have that thing going. I want to make life as simple as possible.
I think
for her,
that's
so she could focus on what she wants to do.
That's one of the keys to a good relationship, though. I think what you're saying there, Cameron, is you've got Ali in your mind.
That's definitely
Right.
When you're going through your day or your life, you go, how is this going to help or hinder? You know, And I think that's huge.
And because I know, I mean, we've been together for 34 years.
Wow.
So I know, you know, as we mentioned earlier, validation is a huge part of what Cam needs. So for me, it's like making sure I thank him for, thank you so much for doing those shelves. Thank you for moving us. Thank you for doing like that. And I have to make sure I like really look at him.
It's true. It's like a cheers.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I don't like just
so
a cheers
much.
out the side door.
Right.
No, I want to do a proper cheers.
Yeah,
You want
I
the
need to like
connection.
Because
stop.
I want
stop.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great word, isn't it? Connection.
Absolutely.
Because disconnection is just as important in terms of how that can just make someone feel absolute crap.
Yeah,
You know, if
really
they feel like Al
alone.
said, if you don't feel like you don't matter or you're not included, to use your word before, then it can really send you in a spiral.
You can feel very lonely, even if you're in
Absolutely.
a relationship,
There's
right?
nothing worse than feeling lonely in a relationship. It's just the worst.
Yeah, so that thing and make it like Al makes dinner, 6 nights a week. I do it one. I missed it last night because I just had too much on. But
You're moving. It's okay.
But Monday night is my night usually because she'll teach on Mondays and missed it. But it's those.
Just got to do one day a week, Cameron. Just one.
One. You
Had
get
one
one
thing.
night.
One thing. Yeah. Luckily, I had a lasagna to throw in the oven. It was easy.
That you pre-made, I'm guessing. Ali.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it was
she
from
made it
Woolies.
from
Oh,
scratch.
yeah, no, it's like.
No, Woolies are good ones.
Do you have a go-to date night activity that you both do that you just really helps you connect?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What's our go? We do a lot, like this isn't a date night, but we connect multiple times during the week to walk our dog
Yeah.
and go for a coffee. Like that's one of
Yeah.
our favorite things
It probably
to do.
is our walking, I think. Because we have a very needy dog as well. And so he comes to most things with us. But so we love walking. We love being in nature. And we really chat and
Yeah.
we really connect. And
We don't mind going into the city and finding a nice restaurant.
Well, that's
and just
good.
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I love about Helen is she can be very proper, but she can be a bit reckless and spontaneous and fun too. And like, we want to tap into that, how our relationship used to be a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot more responsibility. to
What
it.
about karaoke? Do you ever do that?
oh gosh, I'm probably the worst singer.
Helen only sings in private. I've heard her a couple of times when she thought I wasn't home. That's about it.
Yeah.
Whereas Shahn sings all the time.
Yep.
Usually about the dog.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not because I have a good voice either.
Tell us about the app. This is really intriguing to us. I think it's really innovative and something that people can really get behind and use.
And it's called My Love, Your Love. And how long have you had it on the market for? so to
It's
speak?
been on the market for a few years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's been its best iteration in the first, probably the first half of this year. What I mean by that is we're kind of like, we have a developer obviously, but we are totally self-funded and we've released it in chunks and continually updated it. So it's looking at
It's had a few
functioning.
makeovers over
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So this is a good time to be talking about
yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Right.
Well, that's what apps are for. Like you keep updating them, don't you? You
Exactly.
shift and it changes and yeah.
Yeah, so the app is basically a couples coaching app. So there's a big focus on symptomology in the medical industry.
it. Okay, what's symptomology?
What I mean is like typically, especially the last 50 years, we're getting a bit better at it now. You go to the doctor when there's a problem and they treat the problem. They don't treat the cause necessarily. Like, for example, you go on medication for type 2 diabetes, but if someone had told you a long time ago to cut the sugar out, eat a lot more veggies and do a lot more running. Not that I'm giving any medical advice because I'm not a medical doctor.
It's an example.
You can
It's a good
prevent it.
example.
Yeah. So we wanted to create an app not just to help couples who have relationship problems, but to actually say, here is the blueprint to keep your relationship positive and growing in a thriving nature across the lifespan.
Great.
And the app is huge. So, we sometimes see things like, we're talking about those questions, the getting to know you questions. Like we see apps that do that, but ours does that. We have, a ton of those questions, but that is the tiniest fraction of the app. There's like 5 or 6 core. I say 5 or 6 because there's 5 modules and one kind of hidden one.
Yeah.
And it covers all the realms. So, for example, learning how to listen and validate each other is a big one.
Yeah.
Has a whole module on conflict, which is giving you all the different strategies. Like we mentioned one of them, vulnerable feelings and secondary conflict emotions, and learning how to develop and apply that insight. Right. Then we have deep connections. We have a module called baggage claim, which helps you discover, what am I bringing into the relationship?
Love it.
Where does it come from? Family of origin?
So that's all your vulnerabilities that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
That's a big
really
one.
identifying them and knowing what yours are and what happens when they kind of burst open in the relationship.
And sex and desire, I've just got to add that one in as
Oh,
well.
and is that the last one?
Yeah.
Last
So
link and last module.
is it, do you need to have your partner download the app as well? Is it important that you have the both of you doing it, or can just one person?
So with the app, both partners need to be doing the app at the same time. And we did that to be really real and genuine with the product. So what we find in couples therapy is if two people are there and willing, then anything can happen. Magic can really happen then. And so we created the app with that in mind, that two people need to do it together. So although it's on a screen, you're not on the screen all the time. You're using it as a tool to connect more and be in person, or sometimes if we're on long distance over Zoom or something. But that's part of the reason why we wrote the book, is because a lot of the feedback was, well, my partner's not ready to do the app. What do I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, good point. So, yeah.
You've just answered my question. Yeah. Is it possible for one person to work on a relationship when the other one is a little bit unwilling for whatever reason?
Yeah, the answer is definitely yes. And I'll explain that. But going back to Helen's point, we always say, if people come into couples therapy and say, what's the chances of this working? My response is always, if both people are willing to look at themselves and put effort into the relationship, it's 100%. But coming back to your question, yes, absolutely. So we talk about in the book how you're part of a relationship system. We kind of like use the analogy of a yin and a yang. And so the theory behind it is, and this is based on systems theory psychology, okay, is when you change, the environment and the people within your system and the world around you has to adjust to your change. So you can totally look within yourself and make some significant changes, and that can breed very beautifully into the relationship. Whether or not you're the good partner or the bad partner, that can have profound kind of change, which is why we wanted to put the book out as well.
What kind of feedback have you sort of had from couples that have used the app? Have you found that it's been really a huge help for them?
Absolutely, yeah. So the people who it's like couples therapy, and I kind of liken it. I'm going to be honest about this, right?
Lie.
Okay. So if you're used to TikTok and Reels on Instagram and being utterly entertained, and you're like, I'm going to get this app, it's going to be so much fun. It's not like
It's not that. There's no gamification on it.
There is some gamification on it.
I like that
See,
word.
I'm building out. We're building
there
a
is.
menopause
That's
app at the
right.
moment, so
Elle's
I'm in the
building
app
it.
world.
So
She's gamificating
there
menopause.
is some
I am.
gamification.
Hell yeah.
So, for example, when you do those little magic moments or those little special things,
Yeah.
like we give you random tasks to do, which build up, and you get your score accumulates, and you can spy on each other's score to see who's doing more and stuff like that. So
See,
it's kind of like,
I'm married to a very competitive person.
right, there you go.
Right.
It'd be motivating.
That would be very motivating. Yeah.
But we kind of liken it to going to the gym. Sometimes you go to the gym and love it.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't. But whenever you do it, you feel great afterwards.
That's right. Yeah.
And so whenever your relationship's like that too, there's so many distractions. But when you invest in it, the rewards are great. And there's a lot of mastery in it, and there's a lot of connection in it. Right. So the app, the people who use it would give us amazing feedback.
Yeah, great.
But you've got to be able to commit to it just like anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's the app for, would you say?
I think it's really for, it takes a coaching aspect. So it can be for anyone that's in a relationship. So the app's definitely for people in relationships. It could be if you're struggling a little bit and you don't know where to start. Part of why we created an app was also accessibility. Yeah. So it's really hard to get into a couples therapist.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive. And managing timetables is very challenging, two people's plus the therapist. So we wanted to make something more affordable and accessible if you don't have the privilege of of getting into couples therapy. So it could be for couples that are struggling, that don't know where to go or can't go anywhere else, because there are some really great tools. It's what we teach, those same tools in couples therapy.
Okay.
But it's also for couples who want to just get the most, like squeeze the most out of their relationship, kind of unlock the benefits of a long-term relationship is what we like to call it.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
We don't want to fix problems. I mean, we want to untie those knots, sure, but we want actually people to get all the benefits of a long-lasting relationship. And all the evidence and research shows your mental health in a really good relationship is fantastic.
Yes.
In a really
Super
bad
protective.
relationship, it's horrible.
Well, I know that for myself. Even when we're fighting, I feel shitty about everything. Like everything feels bad.
It's all consuming, isn't it?
It is. So I mean, that's just in a relationship that we've been together for a long time. But even just when it's having its ebbs and flows, it's not fun.
It isn't, is it? The app, for those listeners, of those walking the dog right now listening, my love, your love. So just put that in the back of your mind while we continue our conversation.
Yeah. You work together, you've created an app together, you've written a book together. What's the best thing that you find about working with each other in this way?
Well, maybe that's different for each of us, but I think for me, I just really love having a partner to do these big things, because I think I grew up not really expecting, like, that sounds terrible. I was going to say not expecting much, but, being successful in a career and so on. But I think being in this relationship has really opened up this idea that we can do some pretty wild things. We can start an app when we don't know how to make apps.
Yeah.
We can open practices and expand and stuff. So I think that's what I love the most about us working together. It's like an added confidence boost.
Yeah.
We can work it through. We can push the other one when the other one's kind of down and going, this is all too hard. And I think we do that really well for each other. We kind of balance each other out. And I'm really detail focused and Shahn's like the big ideas guy. So we really, I think I love that too.
Yeah.
I'm always like, ooh, I don't know if that's going to work. But then we're like, okay, fine, let's do it and see. And I'll help with the nitty gritty.
Yeah, for sure. Helen's a machine. And like what I've discovered from Helen as well, sorry, babe, is you can cry and still be the strongest person in the room. Because
I cry a
she
lot.
can get overwhelmed and cry. But the dedication and the discipline, when all she has to do is decide, okay, this is a good idea, this is what we're doing. The ability to turn up and keep doing the work, she's second to none. Like,
That's amazing.
I'm kind of like, it kind of empowers me or encourages me to like, or maybe out of kind of in fear of getting in trouble, I'm like, okay, I have to do my bit, get in there and make sure I'm keeping up. Yeah. But the other thing as well is kind of, look, I will mention this because I read it in your book. I thought it was really great in the introduction about how you're in the pack of swimmers.
Yes.
And you can be in the middle and feel safe.
Yep.
And when you write a book or when you create an app, you're putting yourself out there and, it exposes you, feel more vulnerable. More people can have shots at you and stuff like that. And being together means like you're not on the outside by yourself.
Yeah.
No matter what, because the relationship's good, you're always got each other, and that's the most important thing. So that's been a wonderful thing as well.
Yeah, of course.
It's interesting, isn't it? How in order to push out and grow, you really do need to do it from the edge.
You do.
And it's a vulnerable place to be.
Absolutely.
It feels so risky, doesn't it?
It does.
You're exposing yourself. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's scary. You're putting ideas out, and then you're like, "How's this going to be received? Are people going to like it?" And people can be like armchair warriors and stuff like that.
Oh,
we haven't
yeah.
had much.
I'm sure
of
you
that.
guys
Yeah.
have experienced
Oh,
all sorts.
I tell you, my dad reminded me of that wonderful Eleanor. Is it Eleanor Roosevelt, the poem that she writes about the being in the arena, the man in the arena? Because I got raked on the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald over a play that I was doing. The reviewer actually used me as an example. It wasn't even about me. It was really an example of what Australian entertainment was. This is a number of years ago, and it was so unfair. And I saw it on a ferry. I was on the ferry, and some guy was reading the thing, and it really cut me.
Yeah, that's
But
horrible.
my dad actually said, Cam, you're in the arena.
Absolutely.
You're doing it. You know, you said anyone who can tell you about anything is someone who's in the arena with you.
Absolutely. I
you know?
love that.
And
It's
it was
kind of like,
great advice.
That's we always say to ourselves, we're not going to die wondering, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you're going to put yourself out there. It's going to be a bit more risky and vulnerable, but you get to live the life you want to live. And that's what we find rewarding, right? Like we're living the
Absolutely.
life we want to live.
and you get stronger that way as well. Like you kind of go, I'm living not caring what people think so much. Like I think so many humans are plagued with this fear of how they're perceived and what people think of them. We all are, right?
Yeah.
It comes in human nature.
Absolutely.
But it's really cool to push that and go, no, I'm going to just do this and I'm going to try this. There's no harm in the trying, and there's no malintention either. So yeah, I think you get stronger from it. I'm sure you grew from that experience.
Yes, I did. Yeah, you do. And it also makes you understand going, you know what, you can't control anybody else. People are going to have their opinions. So you've just got to do what's in your heart and what you follow your intention.
Absolutely.
You know?
And bring
Well
it back
said.
to what you believe
Exactly.
in and keep going.
Yeah. And I reckon as long as you're being kind, Ali's taught me this, you know, if you're being kind about it and it's a thing that you truly believe in, I mean, it's worth doing. I mean, that's a great analogy for, you know, I speak with other actors about playing bad guys. Bad guys don't usually think that they're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
They think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's how they just
Justify
keep going.
it and
yeah,
keep moving ahead.
exactly.
Yeah.
They keep
Yeah.
doing it. If you two could have any superpower to improve relationships, speaking of getting stronger, what would you choose?
I know what I'd choose.
Yeah.
So one time we were kind of struggling a bit, really stressed out, you know, bickering, and we were developing the app. And as we said, you know, that takes a lot of effort. And we just said, that's it. Okay, we need to go away for a weekend. We kind of left the phones and we went totally off grid.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is I would disconnect people from technology and distraction. Not forever, because that's cruel and there's a lot of good things with technology. But I'd be like, with my gun, like, bang, no technology is going to work for you for like 2 days or a week.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden people have time. The world slows
Yeah.
down. And our brains actually are primed for connection. But as soon as we're engaged in a task, the part of our brain that is primed for connection goes quiet and gets distracted. But that connection is sitting there. It's waiting. It's what makes us feel whole, what makes us feel good. So that would be my superpower, zapping people's ability to connect to technology away for periods.
Love that. I just relaxed as soon as you were talking about that.
Was there any sort of funny moments when you were creating the app or writing the book that you thought, imagine if we put this in there, or imagine if we did this? How hilarious would that be? Did you have any moments like that?
As in our experiences?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we put little bits and pieces in there.
Yeah.
And I think, like, from our relationship, you mean, or just in general?
just whatever,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
might want to be reading or looking at.
I think we did a few of those because, you know, we can get pretty feisty with our readers in the sense of, like, you need to look at yourself here and stuff like that. So I think we had some pretty harsh things in there and the editor's like, yeah, no.
Tone it down a bit.
Tone it down.
The
Yeah,
A Love
gotcha.
Links. The A Love Links actually has a lot of our stories in it because we
Yeah.
want to really show that we're humans too, and it has a lot of client stories in it too.
Yeah, I think I love that.
Yeah,
It's
which
always
is
the best way to
de-identified
learn.
clients,
Yeah.
obviously. But when it comes to the book and app, like it's so varied. It's got every aspect we could think of kind of in there,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, there's parts of Helen and I's relationship, I'm sure, that aren't in there.
Yeah, we did fantasize sometimes putting stuff in there, even from our own childhoods, and then we're like, imagine that, and it's like, actually, no, let's not include that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Too much information.
Yeah.
maybe in the next book.
yeah, exactly.
What about as therapists and you're a married couple, did it help you grow your relationship, creating the app, writing the book?
I think so. And I think being therapists helped our relationship along. But I don't think it's a given. It's like I remember we were, I think it was the year when we were overseas and you proposed, but before the proposal came, we were at a psychology conference in Vienna, and we just were not getting along. I don't know what. I don't even remember what was the cause, but we were so disconnected. And we were going to these lectures on vulnerability and, all this stuff. And it was just so mismatched in that sense. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm a walking contradiction. Like, I need to look inside what is actually happening for me right now that's creating this chasm. And so I think being a therapist doesn't mean you're automatically going to be amazing in a relationship. Right. I think, again, it's that willingness to turn it on yourself and go. And when we did that, we reconnected and he still proposed. So.
I think we've grown enormously because of the app and the book, I think. And like, we delve so much into what we believe in that we have to enact it in our own lives. But a bit about our story. So I was previously married and have 2 kids. The first 12 months we were together, I married young. So like, I wasn't ready to, let's make a blended family straight away. I'm like, you know what, it's a few years single. Like, I just want to have a romance and get to know someone. So the first 12 months, we didn't introduce the kids at all.
Have you got kids too, Helen?
No, I just have the 2 inherited ones.
Okay.
And the fur baby.
And the fur baby, right.
So like, then there was an adjustment period. Like, I think when it was more simpler, right, in that first year. And
absolutely. It was fun and exciting, and it was just the 2 of us.
Yeah. Yeah, and part-time to a degree, because like when I had the kids, like it was like, Helen was doing her own thing and we would catch up on the phone and stuff. Yeah. But our wall is probably that adjustment period, kind of getting through kind of merging into a blended family. Yeah. And, if you don't climb over that wall, you're just going to be stuck hitting up against it. And a lot of couples do that for a long time and then it falls apart. So I think we did have to dig deep. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we put some of our own stuff in the book to say, it's not just a perfect relationship because we found the right person. It's because we keep trying to turn up to be the right partner, essentially.
Well, that's exactly why we did the podcast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We were getting projections thrown at us going, you guys are, perfect.
The perfect couple.
Goals and all that stuff. And it's like, what would you know? Exactly. It's, well, actually, here's what we went through and here's what we do know, and maybe you can relate to that. Yes, so that's great because it makes it so much more relatable.
Yeah. And is that in the book as well, your experience with the step parenting and the blended families? Because we've had a lot of couples come in here and that is often the number one challenge that they've had where they've done blended families, and they've often sought therapy, thank heavens for it, and it's made a world of difference. Is that in your book as well?
Look, I think I agree with you. I think probably if you ask me what the most challenging thing in our relationship has been, it's probably the blended family, being a stepmom. Okay. But amazing as well, like so much growth from it. But I think in our book and our app, we don't specifically talk about blended families, but if you apply the strategies and the understanding to it, then you can work anything out. So we used the same strategies to work through our blended family. So, for instance, that validation piece and listening and feeding back, as well as all the other stuff in the book, is essential if you're going to navigate the complexities of a blended family.
Absolutely. And we talk about like different couple domains. So like all the different aspects within life, like, for example, like families, family of origin, even domestic duties and stuff like that. But one thing we really try and do with the book, The 8 Love Links, and the app is it's meant to be a deep, thoughtful journey in the sense we want you to change your relationship dynamics. The surface issues you can get through one bit of surface issue or content, which might be huge. I don't want to undermine that. Like, it could be like moving or about blended families. But it's the dynamics that are either positive or unhelpful. And our kind of mission is to help people understand, what are my dynamics? What do I bring? And what's working, what needs to tweak, and what needs to be introduced. And once you know that and you have the strategies and tools, then you can potentially get over any obstacle. Sure. And that's what we want to impart.
They're your tools to apply to everything.
And that's what we say to every couple that walks in. We don't want you coming here forever. You're always welcome back, we say. That's because we love our clients and they've taught us so much. But we want you to understand the dynamics. So like, how do we get over this problem? It's like, well, we'll help you get over that problem, but let's look at why you're struggling to get over that problem.
Yeah.
Are there checks and balances for you guys as psychologists and in therapy? Do you do your sessions and then who's checking on you?
Yeah, absolutely. So most psychologists will have their own supervisor who they can check in with.
Yep.
I know in our practice we try and create a culture that's positive and supportive. So we have an open door policy. So if a psychologist needs some help or check in about their clients, or if something happens that's really triggering or something, then they're most welcome to kind of reach out.
And we run a group supervision session every fortnight. So that's just the standard time. And any psychologist can come into that and talk about clients that they're dealing with. And as Helen said, each psychologist has to have their own supervisor to maintain registration as well.
It's really important.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Because it keeps things safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a lot of load to kind of carry. So you need those official ways, but also like what are you doing at home and to take care of yourself.
Yeah, of course.
We're clinical psychologists as well. So we have psychologists, not clients, sorry staff, colleagues. When they first start, they actually have to do 1 hour of supervision every fortnight for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good. Well, the app is My Love, Your Love. The book is The 8 Love Links. And we're going to step into the shower now.
Ooh. Away from the toilet.
Here we are.
Correct.
We're away from the head and we're going into the shower for a 2-minute shower. And we'd like you to answer these questions, which I don't have in front of me. Why do I not have these?
They're down the bottom, darling.
Ah,
Yeah, look at that.
there you go. Just like I wrote it. Can you both answer the question?
Sure.
Okay. What habit does your partner have that you find adorable?
Oh, well, mine for Shahn is definitely the way he speaks to our dog. He says, he says like, good boy, do it. You have to do it.
I don't know if I can do it on demand. I have to see him. Oh, good boy.
Go, throw him a treat.
So cute.
Throw Shahn a treat now.
Mine for Helen is it doesn't matter if she's in tracksuit pants or completely glammed up. No matter what's going on, she can spill food or drink on herself in every single occasion.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise to anyone.
She still looks hot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, this is so lovely. I love where this is going. No.
She's going to spill something on
She
the
looks
tracky
hot
dacks.
doing it. That's why she can get away with it.
there
I'm
it
like,
is.
yes, you have a big stain down your
saved it,
dress,
Shahn.
but you
You
still
saved
look
it.
great. So it doesn't matter.
That's good.
Yeah, that's your territory a little bit at the moment, isn't it, honey? You're like,
Yeah, I got the white jeans on today.
it's always dangerous.
Guaranteed stains. White jeans, yeah.
you have to wear black all the time. What is it about your relationship that makes you feel most grateful?
I've got a best friend, and I'm totally in love with her. And I just feel like we are partners through this journey of life. And I think we've got really kind of common values.
And is Helen okay with that?
What do you mean? Which part?
That you have this best friend? And
Oh, yeah. Well, Helen gets to hang out with us
The
some of
dog
the
again.
time.
No.
No.
And Helen's
sorry, I
great.
totally
okay.
cut you off,
No,
but I
that's
had to
good.
go there.
That was good.
Yeah, look, I'm grateful I've got this amazing partner to share life's adventures with, and we both had the same kind of ideas and worldview and stuff like that. Well, not all the time, but I mean, we both know that life is in the moments and, we can find that anywhere as long as we put some effort into it.
I don't think I can top that one. But similarly, I think I just love having someone that's kind of fun and interesting to do life with. It's the best.
Yeah.
And he says, good boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
You've got it. You've got it, Cam. I love it.
I've got one too. I've been rubbing his tummy this morning. Good boy. Don't escape. Good boy. Don't run away. What do you miss when you're not together?
I think I miss his cuddles. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
leave
it's
it
a
at
comfort zone. Absolutely. It's like it's awesome to go out and be autonomous and individual, and then it's like you're coming home. It's just a nice comfort zone.
Lovely.
Last question. One word to describe each other.
I would say generous. And I say that not like financially, yes, but I think he's just super generous from his heart. So, like it was pouring with rain yesterday and I was at the gym and he texted me saying, do you want me to come pick you? And like the gym is 5 minutes walk away from our house. And he's like, it's raining hard. Would you like me to come pick you up? And he's always offering to take me places, which is not reciprocated from me.
You can get wet. You just get wet.
So, yeah, he's just generous with his love, with his time, with his thoughts.
Yeah, beautiful.
So,
I'm going to say smexy, smart, and sexy.
Oh,
Got it in one word.
look at that.
You never had smexy before.
There you go.
Smexy.
Smexy.
I like that. That's awesome.
Shahn and Helen, thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining us today.
Thank you for your time.
As I said, My Love, Your Love is the app. Download it now. And the book, The 8 Love Links.
thank you so much.
Thank
It's been so much
you.
fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
I'm really excited to download the app.
I've never looked into relationship apps before. I gather there's probably some others out there, I'm sure. But it's sort of like having a therapist in your pocket, isn't it?
Well, it is. And they did mention the fact that couples therapy can be expensive.
Absolutely.
And also allocating time, getting everyone
Yeah,
on the same
sure.
page with schedules. Everyone's so busy. To have it as an app and the expense on that would be
it'd be
minimal.
Minimal. And if you're in a place where, you're out in a country town or wherever you are, that you're not in the big city where there's therapists
It's a great
around, then you've also got an app that, you can do it at any time of the day.
and
sort of
dovetail
thing.
with the book.
Yeah.
The 8 Love Links. Really good. Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. They've broken it down, which I like that. I like it when they break it down into stories, into links, into doable chunks. I think that's really important. We love doable chunks.
We love the doable chunks. Get just little by little because you can
Yeah.
cover a lot.
Yeah.
You don't even know you got where you got.
That's right. Well, we hope you enjoyed our chat today and join us next time.
See ya.